Hey guys, what's happening? Today we're talking about Enphase Energy and the recent earnings call. Enphase released their Q1 earnings yesterday, April 25th, 2023, and investors freaked out. 15% dump in the pre-market price, 25% drop after the market opened. This is how they responded. Now, guys, seeing this kind of a sell-off should be setting off some alarms. There is a saying in trading, don't catch falling knives, and that saying immediately pops up here. Now, the question is, why did the stock price of Enphase Energy drop so much? Is Enphase failing as a solar business, or is this just a good buying opportunity? We're gonna take a look at the earnings release and call to answer this, so let's jump right in. So, what earnings did Enphase Energy report? For the first quarter of 2023, the solar company saw a revenue of $726 million. The gross margin was 45.7%, then we have the adjusted operating income of $233.6 million and adjusted net income of $192.3 million on a free cash flow of $223.8 million. If you wonder why are we looking at the adjusted income, here is why. The adjustment removes non-cash expenses. In this case, these were $59.6 million worth of stock-based compensation, along with $5.5 million in acquisition-related expenses. We want to get a clear picture of how the business performs, and that means we want to look at the actual flow of money. A lot of new growth companies reward management and employees with shares. That's good, it's added incentive, people work harder, the company benefits. I don't mind. The acquisition expenses are typically a bit more shady, but in this case they are a tiny amount, so that's acceptable. The adjustment also added back $22.5 million worth of income tax. Overall, we saw a very tiny increase in both revenue and operating income, but we saw an almost 10% drop in earnings. On the bright side, cash and cash equivalents along with marketable securities were $1.78 billion, up from $1.61 billion last quarter. Total assets went up by $300 million, but what's more important is the total equity went up by $145 million. So, that's the gist of the earnings that Enphase Energy released. I can see why investors are getting worried. If you haven't, here is why. Enphase Energy is a growth stock. Growth stocks need to show a constant increase in revenue and earnings. If they don't, then they're not a growth stock, are they? And if that's the case, then we need to adjust their valuation. Now, seeing a flat quarter in revenue and earnings might have been okay by itself, but Enphase Energy gave a lower than expected revenue outlook for the next quarter. Enphase expects $700 to $750 million in revenue, whereas the analyst consensus was $760 million. This is really why Enphase Energy is seeing a drop in stock price. It seems that their growth is slowing, at least that's what investors are saying. Like I mentioned at the start, this should be setting off some alarms. If growth expectations go further down, then investors and analysts will revalue Enphase. We could see a massive drop in the stock price, maybe down to $150 or even $110, which is the absolute bottom in my opinion. The funny thing here is that it doesn't matter that Enphase Energy tripled its earnings since last year. Investors evaluate stocks looking ahead, not backwards. Expectations are what matter. Right now, expectations are slowing down, and this is really why Enphase Energy is taking a hit. In fact, most of the solar stocks right now have taken a hit. The main reasons are a slowdown in American demand, and that's caused by a couple of things. One is higher interest rates, making it harder and more expensive for customers to get financing. The other is legislation in California, specifically the end of NEM 2.0 and the start of NEM 3.0. There doesn't seem to be much clarity around NEM 3.0, but people expect that residential solar will take a hit because of it. Now, how am I going to play this? Will I buy Enphase or not? Well, the best thing here is to wait it out for a week or two so the things normalize. I don't see Enphase rebouncing in the next few weeks, unless we have some amazing news somewhere else. They've just told us their expectations though, and this is as clear as it gets in terms of guidance. Does this mean that I have given up on Enphase? Hell no. The company is showing a lot of growth in its operations. Europe is the next big market for Enphase Energy, and it is doubling down on it. Like I mentioned in my previous video, Enphase Energy agreed a manufacturing contract with Flex in Romania. They have already begun shipping microinverters from there, and this means a faster, easier access to the European market. Enphase Energy are now shipping inverters and batteries to France, Netherlands, Austria, Switzerland. Enphase has announced a partnership with Enerix in Germany Germany and Austria in January too. This week, Enphase also launched its microinverters in Spain and Portugal. Enphase Energy is gathering a lot of momentum in Europe, which is a massive solar market. Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, these countries are among the leaders in solar energy generation and solar demand. Plus, Enphase Energy is rapidly growing in Brazil. Their revenue there doubled in just a quarter and opens up a very important new solar market. In the long term, this will pay off massive dividends for Enphase. What I'm trying to say is that I am still bullish on Enphase Energy, and this is not a short-term bet. Enphase Energy is probably the solar company with the best potential right now. There are not a lot of solar companies that can directly compete with Enphase Energy at this level. SolarEdge is probably their main competitor, but their products are simply different. This is why I will definitely be buying more of Enphase in the coming weeks and increasing my position there. What about you? Does the recent earnings release make you change your mind on Enphase, or are you still bullish like me? Let me know in the comments below, and please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again in the next one.